Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the True Life Podcast. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Hope the sun is shining. Hope the birds are singing. Woo! I got a banger for you guys today. I got Dominick Annunziato. I got Clinton Diong here. And Cultivar Cup is coming up. I wrote a little intro here for Dominic. And I just want to put it out there because the guy's done so much for the community, and he's a legend, man. So here's the intro I got for you, man. They bottled dreams and sold illusions. He grew gods in basements. While the world slept on the soil, he listened to its spores. He is the rebel scientist, the culture shifter, the underground alchemist, a pioneer not just of mushrooms, but of meaning, the creator of TidalWave Cubensis, the architect behind Magic Myco, MycoCoil, and the visionary force leading the Cultivar Cup, where art, science, and soul converge. Doma, thank you for being here. Clinton, you and I were talking beforehand, and you have so many accolades. I was hoping that maybe you could just tell a little bit about yourself, what you got going on, so the crowd knows who you are.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Clinton DeYoung. I own Morningstar Myco. We're registered here in the state of Nevada. I also am the CEO of the Fruit of Knowledge. It's a psychedelic directory, and we're getting ready to build the social media aspects for a global scale so everyone can fully connect and not worry about getting kicked off everywhere or banned. Plus, I'm working with government agencies, state of Nevada, and my company's pitching right now to RFK for Maha for my company's psychedelic fitness so that people can track their ecosystems and for everything that they're doing with their everyday life to make sure they can track their own analytics for how the psychedelics are working, what helps, what doesn't help, and have continual contact with your practitioner at all times. So, yeah. And then my mycology company, we're the only mycology company in the United States right now that is openly psychedelic, that is certified with the federal government on SAM.gov, FSD.gov. We're certified NAVOBA, National Disabled Veteran Owned and Operated Business Association. We're certified with the SBA for the VA for the SDVOSB. Again, sorry, so many acronyms. Service Disabled Veteran Owned Small Business. We're OSHA 30 certified, and 2 years in a row, we are the only psychedelic company to receive the Gold Hire Vets Medallion from the Department of Labor. So we're trying to really work that game of getting as many certifications, standing in the light, so that we can actually push the agenda forward.
I love it, man. I love it. Thanks for doing all that, man. It's epic to think
Oh,
about
and
where we are.
right. And last month I was actually testified in front of the state assembly for psychedelic treatment for veterans and active duty first responders and active duty military. So that was kind of harrowing. I even forgot how to spell my own name.
Yeah, that'll happen, man. What an interesting time to be in front of like courtrooms and testifying and having veterans right there next to you and lawyers right on the other side flanked by you, man. It sounds a little bit harrowing,
Oh
man.
crap. Oh man, you have all the lawyers, you had some senators, the House of HHA assembly members, and the governors live in Vegas, listen to everything. I'm like, holy crap, if you would ask me I was doing this fucking 3 years ago, no freaking way. But I was actually pushing it forward. So hopefully we can change the agenda and actually help save some lives.
Yeah, I think it's without question. I think that it's already happening. Like the change that's happened in the last few years has just been, it's been outstanding and staggering at the same time. And you know, I can't help but think it's so cool to see all these different walks of life kind of coming together to create. It's almost like mycelium itself. Like we all kind of grew this way, that way, and now all of a sudden you're starting to see the fruit come up over there, man. Which takes me over here to Doma, man. What? Can you give a little bit of background, Doma, on the Cultivar Cup, man? Like, what is it for people that may not know? When is it? And tell us about it, man.
Yeah, so the Cultivar Cup is a biannual contest that we do for our members, our Patreon members. And it's basically a contest. We have three different categories, Cubensis. We have psilocybes, paniolus, and extract. So we used to have Cubensis separate and exotics all in its own category, but we changed it up recently to make all psilocybe species one category, because in all our testing in the past couple of years, we found that they test similar, like in the same range, and the same for Panaeolus, which even though there's multiple species in your Panaeolus, they all test similarly. And the extracts can be any kind of extract combination from the materials from the other two categories. They can use either kind of material. And people are sending in some amazing extracts. They're making some extracts that they use for products like edibles and stuff like that. Also, besides the potency analysis, which will look for the 9 major tryptamines that we look at, we're also doing toxicity analysis in the form of a yeast and mold analysis, which is done on agar plates. And we can see if the fruits have how much surface contaminations they have, because it is an edible product. It's like a food product. Most of the time we eat our mushrooms. So, you know, similarly in cannabis, they also have this test. But you have to consider that most of the time cannabis is smoked and burned. So they have a very high threshold of 10,000 colony forming units per gram. We made it way lower, just 1,000 colony forming units per gram, just to make sure that your product is clean, because you are putting it in your mouth. So we use that as like a little qualifier round. You got to get past that in order to win the top prizes. And we'll have top 3 in each of those categories. So there'll be like 9 big winners, and they'll get the top prizes from our generous sponsors have donated all the prizes. They'll be getting direct shipments from each and every one of these great sponsors that I see the little ticker down at the bottom. That's awesome that they're all listed right there. I was a little afraid because I didn't have my list on me to read them all up, and even the websites are down there. So we will read them off in a little bit, but I encourage everybody to check out these great sponsors who will be giving those prizes. And then beyond the top 3, if we have some stuff left over, we'll also be sending out to everybody else. So every contestant will get at least a little something. I want to just throw it out there because this is kind of important. After the contest is over, you have to go to the Magic Myco website and fill out a claim form for your prize, because we don't have your info, we don't have your address, so we don't know how to get you the stuff. So in order to do that, we just need an address. So be sure to do that after the contest. But this is going to be a really great one. The last one, which was in December, so it's twice a year, and we do it on the solstices. That's when we release the results, right? So we make it kind of a celestial holiday as well. So the solstices are around the 21st of June and December. The cutoff deadlines to send us the materials, you have to have it postmarked by June 1st. That'll give us 3 weeks to collect all the samples, test them, and to publish all the results. Just as much work goes into the data management as actually the lab work itself. So it's kind of time consuming, and we need about 3 weeks to do that. So please get it to us on time. But I'm really excited. The last one was in December, and it was during a time where I moved. So I moved from New York, where I lived all my life, down south to Florida. And we were actually doing the Cultivar Cup while I was moving. I moved 2 times before I actually settled down into this place, right? So it's taken me about 6 months to really kind of get my feet on the ground here. But the last one, as great as it was, it was a little turbulent time because I was moving around, so we couldn't quite do the extent of work that I wanted to. There was no yeast and mold analysis. We only did 1 test per sample. This time we're going to do the yeast and mold analysis on multiple plates, and we're going to do extended analysis, which consists of multiple tests. So we don't just do 1 test, we do multiple tests, and then we group them together, we average the scores, and we could sometimes find clues to other things that way. So yeah, it's going to be great. Really excited.
Yeah, man, me too. And everybody, check out that ticker tape down there. I'm going to go through all these names in a minute, but I want people to thoroughly understand. Anybody who's been in this game for a while, like, knows who both you guys are. I mean, you guys are crushing. But for all the new people that are kind of finding themselves awakening to this new paradigm we're living in, like, this is where the innovation happens, man. You're looking at 2 guys on this stage right here that are complete innovators. They've done so much for the mycology community, and this is where the innovation happens, man. I want to talk to you guys about trends. like Doma, you've been doing the Cultivar Cup for quite some time. Clinton, you've been in this game a long time. What are some of the trends? I'll start with you, Clinton. What are some of the trends that you see happening maybe over the last couple years, or you can even project in the future, but what's your idea on trends?
Oh, I'm not too sure about the different forms of trends, except for there's a lot more people that are trying to grow.
Yeah.
They're more open about it now. They're still kind of cautious, obviously, because a lot of places still not legal, which we're trying to change actively right now. But they're more trusting on the companies that are out here right now, and we've been established and showing good progress and honesty, that they keep coming back, and they're willing to talk, and they're willing to talk towards more people. So those are the kind of different trends that I'm starting to see, that the activity is coming up a little bit more. But yeah, a lot more businesses and companies are also starting to pop out there. So competition's starting to go up a little bit more. Few things coming up here and there with different products. So the innovation's starting to go a little. It's pretty exciting seeing it.
Yeah. Doma, what are your thoughts?
Definitely, I think lots of trends in the breeding. So people want to make their own kind of mushrooms. They saw me do it with TidalWave. It was kind of a controversial thing because of the way the anatomy of the basidiospore and the way that the genetics mate and everything like that. So it was kind of like a debate whether there was an actual cross there, which we made back in 2017, 8 years ago already. Holy crap. And ever since, it's like now people want to experiment, this experimenting, smashing genetics together or trying to cross them, monocultures, stuff like that, trying to come up with their own strains. Another trend I see is in the extracts and the products, because to this date, no one has really been able to isolate like a really pure psilocybin extract. Like in cannabis, for instance, all the medicine is on the outside of the plant, all the oils, right? So it's easy to extract it. We get it all off. We do an extract of a cannabis plant. We can make a distillate that's like 90% THCA, right? That's pretty amazing. With with mushrooms, the medicine is locked up in the fungal cell walls, in the tissues, and it's not on the outside of the plant. So we have to break that cell wall open to extract the good stuff and get it all out. And the highest concentrations of extract psilocybin isolates that I've seen so far pass through the lab, the highest one was the last contest we did for Oklahoma, the Magic Mushroom Cup, which was around 14%. That's the highest I've ever seen. People are making some incredible products out there, edible products, and they're using their extracts to make these edible products or tinctures, and I see that as a trend as well. As far as the legalities and stuff, I definitely see a lot of people coming out. They want to speak about it, which I think is amazing because more people need to get educated. A lot of the people that I see coming, like the new people, they don't even know what a spore is or like how to microdose. They're just looking for information. They just want to be educated. So the more that we could do to help educate people and kind of do away with the stigmas around mushrooms and like they're evil or you're gonna die if you eat one or you're gonna trip and you'll never be the same again or you'll go insane or something like. What was the one I heard when I was a kid? If you tripped 9 times, then you were legally insane, right? So some of these stigmas and these fallacies by doing the projects, the breeding, the facilitators, the therapists, all of us going out there and speaking about it, it's educating more people and more people are getting onto it. Just briefly, not to get off the subject too much, but some people out there might not know much about me. Dominick Annunziato from Magic Myco. I founded Magic Myco. When I was around 21 years old, I was in a very serious motorcycle accident. I almost lost my life. Very bad brain injury, back injury, and pelvis injury. They told me I would never walk again. They didn't know if I would even regain the motor skills, like in my face, like I couldn't smile, I couldn't. Meanwhile, underneath, I was very angry because I was in so much pain and the treatment in the hospital wasn't that great. And I went down the long, deep rabbit hole of opioid pain management um, treatments, prescribed. Most of the time, I was never really a straight drug person, but prescribed all these medications. 25 years fast track later, now I'm 48 years old. I came back and I found mushrooms when I was around 36, and I found some good mentors online, like Willie Myco, shout out Trip Team family, and learned a whole bunch about growing, was able to finally do it successfully. That's like the main thing, the newbies, because they get some contaminations, they get frustrated, they throw it away, maybe they go seek it elsewhere or they just forget about it. To get that first successful grow, even if just a few mushrooms pop up, it's so rewarding. And the feeling that you get, it's like growing your own vegetables in the garden when you eat, or
The
eat your own
excitement.
tomatoes. Your own tomatoes, you're like, these are the greatest tomatoes I ever had in my life. Maybe someone else just thinks they're ordinary, but to you, they're super special. So same things with growing the mushrooms. You're making your own medicine, your own sacrament, I believe. And so when I became successful and started experimenting with dosing myself, I've had many times where I've macrodosed. I've had many phases where I've done short increments of microdosing, like several weeks at a time, and then I stop. All of those experiences combined, and especially a couple of the major macro doses that I first did, like that very first isolate I ever made, it's called alchemist. I call it a lac. And that was the first fruit I ever made. They were these big pan heads. They were like the size of like like this, like I mean giant head caps, right? And I'd be eating on them, and they'd be all purple. They spore like crazy too. But man, I had such amazing experience on that. It really gave me an attitude adjustment. It wasn't a party thing for me. I didn't put myself in that situation. I was really trying to heal myself, and it was like alone at home and doing these sessions, and serious introspective sessions, like where I really had to sit down and think, okay, what the hell have I done? What am I doing? And that the mushrooms really helped me kind of get back to like a baseline, kind of like where I could appreciate myself and other people much more, respect other people much more. Like before, I blamed everyone else for every situation that I was in except myself. It was never my fault, right? So I never took responsibility or accountability pretty much for anything, and I just blamed my upbringing, my parents, I had the wrong friends, everything you could imagine. Um, Lost my wife over my dependency from drugs, and she took my daughter to Long Island, which they're very happy now, and she's remarried, which is great. But like it caused a lot of things for me. And the same year that I was experimenting with eating these things for the first time, I also lost my brother to drugs. He passed away, and my grandfather died 2 months before that. So it was like a lot happening at the same time. That was spring of 2016. And if you'd like to know any more, George knows about this. I wrote a little bit about my story in this Rattled Awake book. It's called Rattled Awake Volume 4. You can see my fancy picture in the back when I used to have super long hair. This is a little bit old now, but it's a really good story. Just tell you about the things I was just talking about. Goes into a little bit more detail. But yeah, that's my story on where I came from with the stuff.
I love it, man. It's a hero's journey, man. It's amazing
And
to see. Yeah, go
if you
ahead.
think that that's extraordinary in any way, uh, George, did you happen to check out that video? Keegan Gill. Keegan Gill was the serviceman, the Air Force man who ejected out of
Oh, I did.
his
Yeah.
ejected out of his plane at 10,000 feet, going at the speed of sound, and he hit the
Holy
water. He hit the parachute opened like right before he hit the water, and the parachute kind of cushioned his land on the water a little, but still his whole body was broken.
Right.
And it's about, if you Google it or if you YouTube it, you'll find the video. It's about a half hour. Check it out. A friend of mine sent it to me. It was really, really good. Because if you think my story is something, check out this guy's story, what he went through. And, power of the mind. He was he's like a Marine type, so he's a strong guy. He had this little ember of hope burning deep down inside because everybody was telling him, you're never going to walk again. You're never going to fly a plane again. You're never going to, forget it. And he had this little ember down deep inside that's like wanted to prove them wrong. So he made himself better, totally physically. I mean, now he's like Wolverine. He has titanium bones and everything, right? So, but he went through all that physical healing and thinking he's good. Got all these kind of waivers, medical waivers, so that he could go back and fly again. He's like being all strong. One day he's up in a plane, and for some reason it decompressed, like it lost the compression in the air chamber. And some people will know, like scuba divers, when you go into water and you come up too fast, you get what you call the bends, right? Because the air decompresses too fast and the nitrogen in your blood bubbles, and it could actually kill you if it's too serious. So the guy was on a plane thinking like he's all good now, he's going back to work. The plane decompressed, and he had all these mental problems that followed. He had the bends, he had to go into decompression chamber, but even when he came out, he didn't feel good. He started going crazy. He went into a state of psychosis. He like it got to the point where he was like naked with a bat cape, thinking he was Batman, going outside to fight criminals in the snow. So his wife takes him to the hospital. He went to the VA. They just made it worse, right? This is why what Clint is doing is so important, because these veterans don't have the right access of care, and they're not getting the treatment they need. They'll give them certain things, but they won't give them psychedelics. They recently shot down the DMA treatment because something about the study was bad, so that just got totally reversed. So they have no access to psychedelics. To make a long story short, this guy went on his own, talking to some people, to some ayahuasca sessions down in Peru, did 3 of them, and it like cured him. And this is not something that you have to keep taking every day, like those medications that you get from the VA. And if you stop taking it, you go crazy. If you take too much, you go crazy. It's hard to get it right. You got to take it every day. No, it's non-addicting, non-habit forming. He went down there. He had 3 profound experiences on ayahuasca, and it totally reset his brain. Not only the way he thinks, but physiologically healed the tissues in his brain to make him so that he's now baseline normal again, and he can make sound judgments again. And that is so important for so many people. So if you thought my story was something, check out Keegan Gill on
I
YouTube.
do.
Something else.
I think
Yeah.
your story is amazing, and I think it speaks to something that every one of us goes through on some level. Maybe it's because we're all men in our 40s, or we're getting up there in age. But I think all people go through this thing is where, and you have real initiations in life, and those are ordeals. Whether you lose a wife, I lost a kid, my wife has cancer. I know Doma's story. Clinton and I were talking before you came on, Doma, like, there's real things that happen to you in life, and sometimes the medical system isn't set up to really help you get through them. They may give you a patch, they may give you something that aids addiction recovery a little bit, but the truth is each individual has to go through their own thing. And I know that you went through it, Doma. You used psilocybin in a way to heal yourself. Clinton, you've been through some big things. Can you tell us a story about maybe something that that a transformation you went through in your life where you used psilocybin to make your life better?
Well, first starting off is like I was anti-drug my entire life until I was 33. Until I came to realize that I was drug everything, just pharmaceuticals and alcohol and tobacco and all those. So throughout my entire Marine Corps career, it was just alcohol, tobacco, just as many painkillers as I can pop, and then go, 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 nonstop. So, traveling around the world, hitting all these different countries, going to 2 wars. While I was in Iraq, I fell out of a helicopter, or was thrown when it was evading fire, landed on my pack and back and split me backwards and knocked me out cold there. So I had TBI, and I was pretty much angry, insane, and a lot of military people are that you have to be, for the most part, just to make it through a lot of those different situations. But when you come home, at the time when I did, it was 2004, after 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kosovo transformations over there. A lot of stupid, crazy stuff was going on. And when you come home, at that time and for the next 10, 15 years, there wasn't really a gateway or a pathway of understanding of, okay, you have an issue. This is how we can try to help you fix it or alter your cognitive function so it allows you to be more stable and have a happier, healthier life and pathway. That before you'd come in, hey, I'm having issues with this, I'm having issues with that. Oh, that sounds horrible. Here, take some pills. By the time I was done with the VA, before I started switching, I was on a little grocery bag full of different pharmaceuticals for this problem, back pain, my different mental issues, because I was pretty jacked up. I even tried to commit suicide as I was getting out of the Marine Corps, and for the next 6 months, 7 times. And each time the universe just said, stop that. No, you have something to do. Like I'd go to hang myself and the rafters would break. Or the very last time, I literally put a 30-06 in my mouth, pulled the trigger, it went click, but it didn't go off. So, all right, that's the last time I'm doing any kind of suicide stuff, but I still went for the next 10 years, just angry, violent, and just hateful towards everything in existence and didn't know why. I had no good excuse. And it wasn't until I finally lost everything. I lost my wife, my kids due to my own mental illness and inability to understand what was going on, and no training, no help. So lost my house, job, homeless in my truck. And then I found a dive bar where there in Winnemucca, the mine shaft, where basically other broken people was there. And that's how I started developing my family until I met my wife now, my girlfriend then, where it's like, oh, that man's hot. I need him. So it brings me back over. And for the next couple of months, we're doing great, but still going through my psychotic episodes, not knowing, night terrors, waking up almost choking her to death and didn't know why. Just very bad mental illnesses that we also can't really put into words to tell other people because we also feel ashamed about it as veterans and everything. We're badasses. We have to go out and do all these fucking things. And now I can't handle my own brain or the people around me or the situations. How do I handle this? And all the different things that are out there is like, there's no groups that we could go through. So she finally came to me and she's like, you're going through all these different horrible situations. Have you ever decided or thought about using psychedelics? I'm like, hell no. Psychedelics are evil. They'll rot your brain. They'll turn you insane and they'll ruin your life. It's like, oh, really? Because you seem pretty far gone and no return right now. And I'm like, you have a point. Yeah, you have a point. So for the next 6 months, I did as much research as I could. And at the time, I didn't know what to trust. Every single site that I'd gone on, I thought like the FBI was going to be looking at me. It's just like, come on. I had no clue what I was trying to look for, who I should trust, what I should do, or if someone's going to like be knocking on my door to haul me off to jail. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Yeah. 6 months later, yeah, I want to try psychedelics. Okay, cool. Which one? DMT. So I went from never trying psychedelics to the most powerful psychedelic known to man. And are you sure? I'm like, well, I'm already fucked off. So if if this thing is gonna fuck me off even further and I'll be gone and totally insane, then so be it. Or it's going to completely change my life from there. Experience the DMT and then hot jacuzzi entangled with her at the same time. There's nothing that I could actually truly say to how it showed my existence to myself while throwing it into a multiversal experience that since that point I came out of it with such shock and awe and thirst for life. For the first time in my life, I actually had thirst for life. And then I kept going on with it, but I still wasn't trained. I didn't know honestly how to do it. I didn't have a support group or guidance. So for next year, I basically did everything wrong with psychedelics and just started combining it with alcohol or uh, different other experiences that was not helpful for healing until I quit drinking and just stayed with the psychedelics and started getting healthier. And I noticed after 6 months, oh, I feel amazing. I'm feeling great. But I also did notice that it felt like my brain was working too good, or too good for me to actually understand or comprehend. So I thought something was wrong. I was thinking too fast, or I would like just be keep going on different ideas and go here, I can do this, and oh, I got to do this. Oh, jump back over here. So I didn't realize that that was the medicine helping me because I also didn't have a true health support group or knowledge of those facts. So I go back to the VA. They started putting me on more drugs. I stopped using psychedelics, and then I started going really bad down this path. Um, we went to Mount Shasta to do a DMT and psychedelic experience there since it's the root chakra of the world. So I wanted to go hit all the seven earth chakra points and do a DMT shamaning at each one to unlock my own. And I had the most horrific experience of my entire life there because it showed me for this existential crisis of multiple needs just slamming into each other. And then I was lost. It looked like I was trapped and then in a hospital. And then finally, one person's helping me, pulling me out. And then it showed me a hand. And at the time, I had no clue what any of that meant. I was just, this was just traumatic. It was just, stopped doing DMT completely and just stayed on the medication, uh, nonstop oxys from all the pain and everything. I was like on 8 oxys a day, 224 uh, Prozac. Uh, so that was messing with my brain. And then I started getting into other drugs like cocaine and MDMA and everything and combining all those together. And till I literally went insane, chasing non-existent things around the house, all these kind of things from the different forms of medication and the guides, the different combinations, all of those without having a guide, not having a support group or anything. So that's what a lot of these veterans are needing out there, an education where they know they can trust and people that they know they will have their back to help guide them down that way of healing. Well, next thing, court. My story's been published a lot. I'm in Shroomsky magazine, a couple other sites, and everything like that. But we'll just jump to the end where I finally decide that you know what, I am now healed after getting out of jail, getting completely clean off of all the medications, and I decide to go back to doing psychedelics exactly how I know I need to heal. And then I went from medically insane by medical induced bipolar schizophrenia with 28 different personalities to absolutely nothing and no medications other than naproxen and Emberol. So there's no psychoactive or uh, addictive effects or any of that, to only using psychedelics how I knew needed to be used. And now I'm 100% cognitive of my individual self, able to control and go throughout society without having angry outbursts, use my big boy words instead of my angry yelling and violence, and actually think properly on how I can actually move forward and have purpose for myself instead of just being thrown with the chaos of life. So that's where it led me to here, where I decided to, you know what, I don't want anyone ever to experience the life that I had, which I'm glad I did so that no one else had to, so I can use my life and my experiences as education for others and now start pushing forward to help people heal instead of just be treated, like with Doma and myself, where the system is meant to treat, not for healing. we want to change all those different things. That's why he goes with all the scientific studies. I wanted to create the different companies I'm doing that are working with government entities and organizations to build the infrastructure for the psychedelic treatment on a global scale, so that we have everything there for people to treat themselves properly, have the support group, and have access to all the knowledge, because that's what it is. Knowledge is wisdom when used properly
I
and
love
with
it, man.
guidance.
You know, there seems to be this Ariadne thread that runs through this whole maze, and it's people coming from their own brokenness to become teachers. And like, that's what I love about both your guys' stories and so many people in this space, is that people have these broken things that happen to them and they lose it, man. Like, you lose everything. But is that the catalyst, you guys? Do you have to be broken in order to become the person you are? And it seems on some level you do. You have to be willing to let go of all those things in order to become the person you are. And it seems that these big doses, every one of us in here is legally insane, according to the old mythology Doma was talking about. But it's those big doses, I think, that really help out with the neuroplasticity inside your mind to make these new connections. And it takes courage. You know, I don't think people are going to microdose their way to a better life. You got to have the courage on some level to say, you know what? Like you did with DMT, Clint, and you did with psilocybin, Doma. It's like, look, I'm ready. And you got to be able to walk through that door yourself. What is your guys' thoughts on the big doses being the catalyst for change of people that have really gone through some tragedies? I'll start with you, Doma. Go ahead. Or yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's important. The microdosing is very effective and useful, especially for people who have a lot of experience with it. But if you're at that rock bottom place and you're trying to solve your life's problems, the microdose might actually make it worse.
Yep.
Or at least it'll be like that Band-Aid, pulling it off real slowly. Like just the macro dose, you'll just get right there. And I'm not taking anything away from microdosing. I think it has its place, and I think people use it very wisely. But this is where what we're talking about, where the support and the education and the assistance is so important, so that they could be guided in some way. Granted, to your point, that maybe you have to hit that rock bottom in order to rise like the phoenix out of the ashes, right?
Yep.
And that macro dose will definitely help you analyze what's going on in your situation. Definitely
Clinton,
important for that macro dose.
what do you think, Clinton? What's your take?
Well, I do believe that psychedelics aren't for everyone. There are some different forms of mental psychosis. First, you have to, especially if you're doing different medications, that you have to start weaning yourself off of those different kind of things, kind of like with myself on the different SSRIs. With using psychedelics with SSRIs, they can exponentially increase the experience of the psychedelic, since it's a serotonin. It doesn't allow your serotonin to degrade as efficiently or quickly as it normally would, which also increases the strength of the serotonin. And since the psilocybin, DMT, all the different forms of psychedelics mimic serotonin, it actually does the exact same for that. And I 100% agree with Doma, is that you need, if you're going to go through a process of healing. Not everyone, again, needs it. I mean, if you're a completely healthy, happy individual in life, then you don't need psychedelics. The whole point of taking psychedelics is to heal, so then you don't have to take it anymore. And if you're already healed, don't worry about taking it unless you absolutely need it. And then make sure you get guidance, get help, have a support group, all those kind of things. When you do take the psychedelics, the studies have shown that microdoses are really good, but it does nothing for your neuroplasticity. And macrodoses is what actually increases the neuroplasticity that heals your mind and increases your neurons, your synapses, and all those. So if you're going into a different kind of medical like treatment with psychedelics, the integration of macrodosing and microdosing is absolutely essential, especially with your nutrition, your health, what are all the different forms of your life is going to play a major role. If you're staying in an environment that harbors negative outcomes like negative feelings, yelling, angry, uh, continual alcohol drinking, other drug use, psychedelics aren't going to do anything for you. You're going to be too deep in those other things to actually hear what they're trying to tell you as well and guide you down those paths. So you need to find a way to start the journey of healing off of that and then use the psychedelics to break the cycle completely and reprogram your mind into a healthier version of what you desire to be, instead of having the psychedelics just be masking the pain and suffering that you're already going through and you refuse to acknowledge. So if you're going to be doing that, you have to also taking supplements like that feed your brain, making sure you're increasing your exercise so your body's natural hormones and chemistry actually play a big role into that, like your BDNF, where your brain derived neural factor can also act with the psilocybin to increase the health. So if you're going to take the macrodose, I tell everyone, all the veterans that I work with, is I want you to think of macrodosing and microdosing as if you're going to the gym and working out. Macrodosing is when you're doing that major pump and you're ripping the muscles and shredding them and getting them to bulk and everything. And then your smaller weights the day after is you're slowly working those muscles back in and the nutrition and everything. So macrodosing is the big pump. And microdosing is the maintenance stage so that you keep the integration and heal at the same time. So doing different cycles back and forth until you find that higher level of health with your consciousness, with your brain, with your soul, whatever the areas that is you're affecting you, then you can start cutting the macrodosing back and just use the microdosing to carry through. And then you're going to find 6 months to however long it takes for an individual, because all people are going to be different. You can take 6 months, you can take 6 years. Like with me, I was pretty messed up. So I went from being a psychonaut, psychedelics all the time, acid, DMT, and psilocybin, to, yeah, I microdose every now and then. I barely go over 1.5, 2 grams if I do a macro, because I don't need it anymore. I use it as maintenance, not to find the journey and the knowledge, because I've already found that knowledge. Kind of like what I said earlier with McKenna. It's like, once you get the answer, hang up the phone. I mean, you can still make a call every now and then, but you don't need to stay on the phone talking nonstop. You already got your answer. Now it's time to take action.
That's really well said. Doma, I think this is this is what sets you aside from so many other people, is that you have this background and now you're in the lab and now you're taking it one step further. What are some things that you've learned in the lab that also sort of coincide with the lessons we're talking about today?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, so you work with all kinds of mycelium in the lab. And I know we spoke earlier a little bit, Clint and I were talking about, and you as well. You know, when you grow mushrooms, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about contamination. And when I was growing mushrooms and my stuff got contaminated, I started thinking about the people in my life, like, oh, maybe I'm contaminated. Maybe the same way these things are contaminating my mushrooms, these people are contaminating my life. You know, maybe I'm getting too much over here. But just growing the mushrooms and watching the mycelium move, it really inspires you to live a better life, because you are growing it. And like you said, Doma, that mushroom that comes out, wow, that's the greatest mushroom ever birthed, because you grew it.
Yes.
And that teaches
yes.
you how to grow yourself. What are some other things like that? Like, you're working with spores, you're under the microscope. Are there some other lessons like that that you have picked up working so intimately with mushrooms?
Yes, I think so. It's definitely a relationship. I think of it as like they're an
Yes.
entity, right? Like it's this like almost celestial, cosmic kind of unknowable entity that's just sacred and um, amazing, and we're just trying to figure it out, basically. Sometimes when I come to the mushrooms, I feel like they're part of my family, like my kids or my cat. right? And that's why maybe it's so special to grow your own stuff because you grew it and you saw it during every single stage. You know, in the beginning, you could get like a little impatient and maybe touch the bag or the tote too much, and you're like looking at it and it's growing today. Is it going to pin today or tomorrow? And you're touching it too much and you're opening the thing all the time. You know, I try to tell everybody in the beginning. I did that in the beginning, and when you touch that bag too much, it's no good. So you get to a relationship with the mycelium, not only the mushrooms, but the mycelium, the spores, and you get to know them like I don't know. They're like little cells. Like when you see like little like amoebas or tardigrades underneath the microscope, you think it's like an amazing creation of nature and it's like a living, breathing thing. Well, I think the same thing about the spores and the mushrooms. You know, it's like it's a living thing, breathing, eating, and we're studying its digestion, how it's how it's growing up, what it's eating, the nutrition it's getting, and we're just trying to see what it likes, basically because we don't want to piss them off, because then they don't fruit.
So true.
But yeah, you learn a lot especially when you're doing the breeding and stuff, and it's not just scientific. It's definitely like a family relationship, and that's why it's so special. Maybe eating them. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting to think about the idea of it as a relationship. You know, it teaches you so much about your relationships with who you are.
All of this is a relationship. Even my addiction to opioids was a relationship, right? So that was a bad relationship that lasted many, many decades. But it's the point is that you have a relationship to everything in your life, not just the people, the things you do, the things you take, your hobbies. It's all like a relationship. And when it comes to the mushrooms, they're like an entity. So that's a super special relationship.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that,
Dude,
Clinton?
oh no, I couldn't agree more on how, for one, the excitement as you're going through and you see that one little freaking pin coming up. You're like, oh my god, yes! Oh, this is so cool. That's just I still get that today.
Me too.
After over a decade of doing mycology, I still love that. And the the love that you're having for the mycelium, and you just see the growth there in the different ways that it interacts. And like with mine, my specialty is not with genetics. My specialty is knowing how to unlock the genetics with environment and nutrition. When I first started doing genetics or mycology and everything, everyone around me just said genetics, 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 genetics. I'm like, okay, genetics is the only thing that matters. I'm like, for mushrooms, are you serious? It's like, yeah, everything else is worthless. It doesn't matter. And then I was like, okay, everything with humans, animals, plants, bacteria, fungi, it all matters for genetics. Absolutely. It's the foundation. But unless you give it the right environment and nutrition, you will never unlock the genetics to reach its full potential. And that's why I went down the path that I did with mycology, because I don't have the setup or everything, or a lot of times the patience for doing the different forms of genetics and everything. I leave that up for Doma. So, but learning about the different genetics that they have and the characteristics, you can unlock the genetics to a higher form by giving it different forms of nutrition, because you have some of these people that just, which is good for beginners, where you just have coca core and everything, so it's very nutrient lacking. And but when you find that your mushrooms are also going to be potency lacking, so when you add different forms of organic ingredients, like using raspberries and the extract of oh shoot, I'm forgetting it off the top of my head, or uh, the goji berries and coffee bean berries. So now you're getting all these different kind of forms of nutrition that have different amino acids in different functions. They have different vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients that the mycelium can now pick and choose at the same time, because it has its own smorgasbord to make the chemical compounds more efficiently and easily to grow you higher quality, more potent medicine. And then I started like realizing, well, they're also just like people or plants or anything, kind of like you're saying, too much of a good thing is actually a bad thing. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to put nonstop nutrients in there. Oh, cool. Now I got nonstop contamination. Or, or you put too much nutrients in there and it actually stunts the growth because you're like, hey, I'm fucking fat and happy here and I don't actually want to grow the mushrooms. So there's a beautiful, delicate balance that you have to come up with okay, if I use this much of nutrients of this kind, it will help produce the proper conditions to help increase the spawning and the fruiting stage to actually grow the higher quality medicine for you. So you don't have to settle for subpar. But then you have to like go back and forth, and it's too much, too little. That's where I love to actually come in at, so I can help reach the full potential for the mushrooms.
I love it. Doma, there's so many great people that are working at Cultivar Cup. You got Trip Team Family, Hamilton Mushrooms, Vital Bloom Tinctures, Tanis Gardens, Morningstar Myco, at Captain Trips. What's up, Captain Trips? We love you over here. Twisted Tree Nursery, allthingsgrow.net, Miraculix, Turpin Twist, Mind Tissue, Dr. Shroom, New Jersey. What's cracking, buddy? There's so many great people that are working with you, and you've been working with a lot of these sponsors for a long time, man. What are all these sponsors doing different? Like, what do they have in common, man? Like, they're different in that they are above all the people in my opinion, they're above most of the retailers out there. They have the best products in this issue. But what is it do you think that makes all these sponsors and all these people we're talking about today above the field of everyone else?
Yeah, man. We got Gordo Tech. We got Willie Myco from Trip Team Family. Right? These guys have been around with me from the beginning. These guys have been working tirelessly for the past 8 years alongside us all, doing amazing work. And I am so appreciative to have all these amazing sponsors. And we have a little bit of everything, which is amazing. So we have like 2 or 3 substrate vendors. We have 2 or 3 people who just specialize in genetics. Hamilton Mushrooms makes amazing powdered extracts, which I could go on about them. They're amazing. Vital Bloom Tinctures also making extracts. Morningstar Myco, we're talking to Clint right now. Beyond his products, he's doing amazing work in the community and legislation. Gordo Tech has some of the best free content you could watch as far as education on growing and cultivation. Same with Willie Myco. Turpin Twist and allthingsgrow.net are actually our 2 cannabis companies. They make amazing edibles and cannabis products. Yeah, so we have a little bit of everything from the cultivation, from the genetics. Miraculix is involved with testing as well. They make testing kits. I'll be giving away genetics and some free tests and some MycoCoils as well. So we really have a little bit of everything, and every single sponsor that I have on here, like I said, has known me for the past at least 6 to 8 years, and we've worked together before. They're all leaders in their specific niche, whatever it is that they're doing. And yeah, it's really an honor to be alongside all these great sponsors.
Let me ask you guys this: like, when we look at the way cannabis has gone for a while, do you think that psilocybin may run into some of the same issues? Like, there's this problem with everybody looking at how strong cannabis is, where maybe you should look at the terp profile. Do you think is there some roadblocks that we can learn from cannabis so that we don't hit those same roadblocks in mycology and in psilocybin? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
One of the things I noticed is with the cannabis field, it turned very cutthroat. And like everyone's starting to stab each other in the back and move forward. And with all these guys here, we have our own companies, we have our own areas, our own science and our own passion, and we're competitive. We're going to try to do the best we can for ourselves. But when this and the last question, what I've noticed with each one of these, they're passionate, they're actually purpose driven, and they're honest. They actually care. Now there's a couple of bad companies are just coming in for a money grab. But
Yep.
you can tell the ones
Sure.
that are out here, they care about
Yeah.
the customers, they care about the products, they care about the mushrooms and the mycology, the science, and they don't want to put out just subpar product to just get a cash grab and like get out. Now these guys are here going through pain and suffering just to go through it, working second jobs like my or their main jobs just to keep going with the main products and the studies. Exactly. Domo's security right now. I'm over here. I'm heavy equipment construction foreman while also doing 3 companies, but never losing the passion for doing the right thing with what we're doing for everyone else. That's what I noticed about
Yeah.
all these ones.
I love it.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of us do have second jobs now. I don't know if that's because the market is changing a little bit or, because I just had to get a second job recently. But it made it even more fun for me again because I no longer have to worry about paying my bills with my college money. I could use my regular job for that. And now again, like it used to be, whatever comes out from my mycology is just like extra and it's more about the work and it's made it so much more fun again. Oh my God. So I think that's really important. I
Ah,
think that's really important to have something else, to have a backup because like we said, we see a lot of people coming up and selling products now. Some of them are really great. Most of them are really great. The ones that are out for the cash grabs, they're not going to last because all these people that we mentioned here on our list and us as well, like Clint said beautifully, we all have the passion. We've been doing this for a long time. We really care about the people. That we care about the work, but we care about the people. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. It's not even about the mushrooms. If it was about the mushrooms, it would have just been me and my personal experience, and that would have been it. But we want to make sure that these veterans, these people who need to be educated, these people who are looking for healing and they have tried every single thing else and like they're looking for just an alternative to get educated about mushrooms, our work is our research is enabling them to know how to better dose. They know the correct dosage because, as you know, some of these mushrooms can be wildly
yeah.
different in potency, even with the same species, like batch to batch. That's
Yeah.
why it's very important. That's why our Patreon is set up. The membership is set up around research and doing batch testing every month. And then twice a year, we have the Cultivar Cup to have the contest to make it a little fun. But it's really about the research work so that people know how to dose correctly. And that's seriously important. That's why we do this.
Yeah. It's a great point. It just underscores the idea that it's change comes from the bottom up, the same way the mycelium comes. You know what I mean? And when I look at all of us, like I'm at the Boys and Girls Club, every one of us is out there doing something and then turning our passion into something that fruits into something for somebody else. I probably could say that better. However, it comes from everybody going out there and doing your thing and then returning back to the mushrooms. You know what I mean? If
Right.
sometimes you lose that passion when you make that thing that you love doing, all of a sudden it becomes a chore and then everything begins to fall away because you don't have that same passion in there.
Right. Right.
It's interesting to think about. Clinton, what is your thoughts on? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Clinton, I was gonna ask you too. You've been involved with Doma in a few of these in a few of these cultivar cups. Have you? What do you think about the genetics of the last few winners?
They were actually very interesting. Like the different strains are coming out, or variants, or mutations.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just seeing a lot more work going into it, and
Yeah.
a lot more people actually sharing instead of, oh yeah, I'm going to make this, I'm going to keep it low key. They're like, the terrain is changing. We're actually able to start stepping into the light instead of being so, this is too underground still. It's, scary. I'm going to get in trouble or anything like that. Like with me, I'm in a state that psychedelics aren't even legal, but I have a company here that I own the only 2 psychedelic companies in the state of Nevada. All the other ones are nonprofits. Mine's are actually companies. And because I'm forcing my way through, again, blazing a path as much as we can so we can all step into the light.
Yeah.
And then that way, by doing that too, we're able to have people who have been semi-interested, just started, or they're already active in it, but they don't know what they don't know, so that we can start giving them more knowledge and actually start having harm reduction in place with other things, and having the knowledge for growth going out there, so that maybe we can also pass down our passion to others. So now it becomes their passion. We're, like you said, we're generating from our torch and passing along to others. So now we're increasing our numbers even more, and in helping the science move forward.
Doma, run us through like let's say someone's listening right now and they're like, you know what? I got the Cannabis Cup winner in my closet right now. How do I get it to Doma? Like, what does submission look like? Maybe just take us from closet or from homegrown to getting them to your lab. What's that look like if somebody's listening right now and they want to get in their submission?
It's super easy. First off, go to patreon.com/Magic Myco. Sign up to any tier level whatsoever. You will get a coupon code that goes along with your tier, as well as all these various sponsors have their own coupon code. So if you're part of one of their communities, you can use their special code, which is useful for us because we'll get to see how many people were referred by who. You could go to the cultivarcup.com website. You could download a paper form, or you could do the digital form. Both equally as easy. You could download the PDF. You write your sample on there. You fill out the information. That also serves as a packing slip. You could put it in a USPS first class or priority envelope or box and mail it to the address that's on the bottom of the form. The digital form also has the addresses on it and everything. The digital form asks a few more questions, and it enables you to upload your own photos if you wanted to. I try to take nice photos of them all when I get them, because we were thinking about making a calendar this year.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we'll do that, and we'll also have all the art from the sponsors maybe on one page, and we could do that. People will be getting promos for this in their email. You'll see it on IG. But yeah, super easy. Cultivarcup.com. You do have to be a Magic Myco member on Patreon. Other than that, you can use any of the coupon codes that you find from the various sponsors who are on my Patreon. And you could send it in with a cash payment if you download the form, or if you do the digital form, you could do it, credit card, Cash App, crypto, whatever you want to do, and do it that way. Or you could just send it in with the cash or money order, made out to Introspective Arts LLC. That info will be on the form. Or you could put my name. Either one is fine. Yeah, but it's super easy. Just when you send it in, a lot of people like to send it in vac sealed. Some people like to put it in a brown paper bag. Some people just put it in a little plastic thing. I think the less air, the less oxygen that it has will have less degradation. By the time it gets to me and I test it, there'll be less degradation. So some people like to put those O2 packs, those little packets in there, or they like to vac seal it and pull all the air out, or both. Some people over vac seal and they wind up squishing it, which I really don't like. So try not to do that. Some of the vac seals have a pulse button, you could control that. But anyway, yeah, a Gordo Tech likes to send them in glass jars, and
That's what I did last year too.
Glass jars with argon gas. So he takes the lid and the lid, and he just cracks the lid open a little bit, and he sprays the argon gas in there and then closes it. And the argon gas will settle in the glass. It'll drop down and settle in the glass, and that also helps very much as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So when you get the submission, Doma, what goes on? Like, so they send it to you, you get the zip pack, or you get it packed. What does testing look like? Like, I mean, are you looking, and what are you looking for? Like, if I send in a big dirty pile of dirt in there, does that score low, or like you want it cleaned up, or what are you looking at?
So when everything comes in, everything goes into the fridge, because everything has to be tested at the same time. We don't test as it comes in.
Okay.
That's actually not good to do, because the machine can run differently on different days. Even just the temperature in the room can affect the chromatographs. So everything is done in batches. Also, for cost effectiveness, we can't fire up a machine to test one sample. So we have to do a whole batch. So they go into the fridge. I wait till around June 7th, because you're going to postmark by June 1st. So that gives me about a week to start collecting everything. By around June 7th, June 10th, I'm entering all the things into the computer, doing sample prep, which it takes me 2 days. I do sample prep. We get all the samples powdered into vials with methanol, and we do our extraction process, which you could look up on our ELN if you're interested in this. All our research data is public and available at magicmyco.live, which goes to a Google Drive. It used to go to a lab archives, which was very expensive, so we did away with that. We got Google Drive, which is nice and free. So you could go in there and you could share the links and everything like that. If you wanted, you could everybody has like their own folder. So if you wanted to like right click, copy link, you could even make your own QR codes to put on your products and stuff like that. But now I'm going off. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the process. So it comes in, goes in the fridge, sample prep. I test them all at the same time. They have to all be done at the same time. So by around June 14th, June 16th, all the all the testing will be done. All the testing will be done, and then it takes me about a week to wrap up all the data and upload all the data, which we'll be doing by June 21st. So that's basically the whole process. Of course, there's some details. You know, the sample prep is quite extensive, and like I said, you could look that up if you wanted to on our ELN notebook at magicmyco.live. You could get all our research experiments, the monthly tests that we do, the Cultivar Cup tests that we do. You could even, if you were a guy out there who has an Agilent HPLC, you could download our methods. You could try them on your own HPLC. We have methods on there for the IO Rodeo, which is I don't have one near me, but it's like you could use it for the Silo Q tests and other kind of quantification of liquids in little cuvettes. So we have lots of great stuff on there, and I'm excited for the future. We're doing some new studies into different drugs and different method developments with some private companies. So we're also doing some work on the side with other analytes and other compounds that we'll be talking about more in the future. Right now it's under development. But the process to enter this cup is super easy, guys. If you were ever thinking like, oh, you know, it looks hard or my shit's not going to do good, that's not the point, man. It's super easy to enter. Everybody will get a little recognition. We might have a Zoom panel where we jump online just like this.
Yeah.
Maybe get some of our other sponsors in there and participants. We'll talk about the winners. That'll be like on June 21st at 10 p.m. So just keep note of our Patreon for the links for that. Follow our Patreon. We'll have all the new updates, as well as on magicmyco.org. You could sign up for our newsletter, our email campaigns, which then you'll get all the promotions and everything in your email. It's good to sign up for that as well. Also, don't forget, after the cup is over, you must claim your prize. I do not have your address. When I get the boxes, I don't save the boxes. I throw them in the garbage. I don't look at the return address. I don't even look at it. I just take whatever's inside out of the box. I look at the form. I look at the sample. I staple them together. I put them in the refrigerator. I don't keep the packaging, so I have no idea where you sent it from. So you must claim your prize once the contest is over, so that these sponsors know where to send your prizes. So don't get mad at me if you don't get a prize and you didn't fill out a claim form.
Also, with like Doma was saying, like if you're being scared, oh my one's not going to win or anything like that, it feels good just to be a part of this. So like this year, I'm not even trying to submit something that's going to be winning number one. I'm just trying to submit one of my giant pumpkin hillbilly pumpkins that I just grew, and because it was a pound when it was freaking huge. I just want to see what the difference is going to be. It was like raw. So it was like a liter bottle, and I just like, let's just see if I can be the biggest mushroom that just entered this year and see what the difference is in potency. It's all fun and games. You can just have fun with either kind of entry, and you're joining a group of amazing individuals that's like-minded and possibly be able to connect later on down the road. It's a fun deal. I love it.
I love that you brought that up, Clinton, because I think that there's so many young men and women coming up right now. Like if you are listening to this podcast right now, maybe you're listening tomorrow, week, or maybe you're listening live right now, submit. Like you have no idea the royalty you're surrounded by right now. If you are a young grower, get your product in here because you're sitting with the OGs. Like, and you'll be live with them. You can ask them all your questions. For the people that love growing and stuff like that, this is an incredible opportunity to get to sit with some of the people that have been doing it forever, that have these incredible techniques, that have these, Clinton's already dropping some gems here with raspberries and goji berries. I mean, so if you're out there and you're thinking about growing or you are growing, submit just so you can be in the presence of some of these teachers that will show you how to become the very best version of yourself. And not only that, what about like the institutions? Like I see some of these centers that are, they're getting really intricate now, where they have their own in-house growing and stuff. So if you're part of one of these centers or one of these retreats, or maybe you're a facilitator that's providing, like get your product in there too, because now you have the QR code that Doma is going to provide for you. It's so much cleaner. It's so much better to have it tested by, especially the company that's testing it. So it's not just for the individuals. You should do it too, but for the facilities out there that really want to get in the game and have their own type of brand or have their own in-house style. This is the way to do it. Doma, is there a separate category for like the different people, or let's talk categories and thoughts on that.
No, well, yeah, what you're saying is important because regardless of how it tests or how it scores or what place you come in, if you are a person who's putting out any kind of product whatsoever, you need to have batch testing. You need to have QR codes. Because like we said earlier, even the same species, batch to batch, could be slightly different. You want to have that number on the bottle, or at least a QR code that links to it, just like it does in cannabis, right?
Yeah.
So that's super important. And like Clint was talking earlier about how the genetics are like only 50% of the thing, and how like the other 50% is the epigenetics.
Yep.
This is super important too. Not only the potency, we're looking at the potency of our mushroom fruit bodies that come out, but what we're also able to do that we haven't done much of so far, but I have full capability of doing it, is the substrate testing, right? So we could find the macro and micronutrients of the substrates. And what we could do in time, what we're hoping to do, is to tie together some of the potency results to substrate results to trip report experiences. So we get it from spore to consumption, and we could see the trends along the way. Okay, PE came out this strong when it was grown on cocoa, but it was this strong when it was on manure, this strong when it was on raspberries, or whatever you're doing, And we could start to note some trends. Oh, and by the way, this person ate it and had this experience. This person ate the other one and had this experience, and we could, in time, start to notice some trends and maybe come out with
find the correlations.
Right, the correlations between them. Exactly.
Right.
I don't know if
this is also why I work with Doma. This is definitely why I still work with Doma and everything, because all the other institutes are not really going down that road.
Mm-hmm. Well, some people are. I know Triptomics are doing a lot with DNA sequencing. We were also doing some things with DNA sequencing, but now they're going to step beyond, where they can identify genetic markers for the purpose of breeding. I mean, I think that's a little, it's kind of like complicated and detailed, and like it's not very maybe practical. But I mean, for people like that for the research purposes, it's amazing that they can actually start to do that. We backed away a little bit from the DNA sequencing because we found, at first we thought that maybe we can identify individual isolates of a certain species. But in fact, when you do enough of these sequences, you see that all cubensis, it's just identical. And there shouldn't be any differences. And if there is, it's probably because you had an error in your sequence. So it wasn't really, I wasn't getting out of it what I wanted. But I think what Triptomics is doing is amazing. So these things that we're doing are definitely really great. But one other thing I want to note, in all the excitement and in all the joy of going down the road of psychedelics, like we touched a little bit before, there is this whole shadow side of psychedelics, right? Clint earlier touched a little bit on psychosis and how the medicine really isn't for everyone. So you definitely want to take those things into consideration, the medicines that you're on, and how it might affect you. Because I have a couple friends like schizophrenic, let's say, who they can't take it because it puts them into any amount of it. Even smoking cannabis will put this person into a mild state of psychosis where they go a little crazy and it's not helping them. So something like that, something needs to be adjusted, whether it's the medication or the diet or the mindset. Something has to be changed to make it beneficial for that person. But definitely you want to look into all these things. People who get serious into psychedelics will research all these different avenues and just not make it like a party thing, right? So you're gonna want to
I mean, it's your
get
life.
involved. It's your life. It's your life.
I mean, do you
And
want
you're
to just have
affecting.
someone else control it, or do you want to take actual responsibility and control of your own lives? So do the
And for,
research.
and for people like us who are facilitating these things, we're affecting other lives as well. So how do we want to present that, and how do we want it to be, accepted, how to be taken? We want it to be taken professionally, seriously, like we're trying to do the right things. We're not just out there pushing drugs. We're serious
No.
about the medicine, the research. It's non-addicting. So if we're doing this for the reasons of peddling drugs, boy, are you going to be out of business fast because,
Get out of here.
and then, yeah, because not only do they not need to take it once they take it a bunch of times, but if you give them the spores, now they have all your genetics. So, I mean, there's no, if you're looking to make money in that way, forget it. Your heart has really got to be there, and you got to be doing it for the right reasons. So this is definitely the group you want to get involved to do that. Even if you come in last place, maybe we'll give a prize for last place this time. Maybe we'll give a
I'm gonna
prize
shoot
for
for
the
that then.
weakest. We should have the weakest mushroom. We should have the biggest mushroom,
Yeah.
and then have other correlating evidence to go along with it, like maybe why it happened, right?
Yeah.
All right. If you're going to do the biggest or the weakest or any of that, I'll add 3 more kits to the
All
giveaways.
right.
So I'll
I
add
think
it
we're
to
doing
it.
it. I think
All
we
right,
just
cool.
settled it. I think we're doing it.
I'll add 3 more kits of the ones I sent over. So I'll add 3 more. Well, let's do it.
All right, so hey guys, if you send in the weakest mushroom or the biggest mushroom, or what was the other one? Weakest, the biggest.
Weakest, biggest, or
Well, there's 3 categories, so
Okay.
that'll be 3 more prizes. Okay, that's
Okay.
great. So guys, now you have incentive. You have incentive to do the best or the worst. You can do the worst.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
People are gonna be sending button mushrooms. No, nothing at all. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, but yeah, this is really great, and I'm so honored to even be able to do a cup. We got involved with
Yeah.
the first psilocybin cup put on by Oakland Hyphae. Shout out to Oakland Hyphae out in California, right? They put on that first psychedelic cup in like 2021, and that was the one that TidalWave won. And it was already kind of a big deal, but after that, it was a super big deal. And it's been an honor for me to serve the community and get so much tidal wave spores out there. So many people I know love it. I know people who have tidal wave tattoos. It's really crazy that the level that it became. And it's not just about the mushroom itself, it's about the whole movement, because the whole thing with making the hybrid just exacerbated the whole thirst of knowledge out there that people wanted to know. Can we make hybrids? Can we cross these? Can we do this? Can we do that? And we started doing all these experiments. So it's a tidal wave is really, really special to me. This community is really special to me. I'm honored to be able to do this cup. We're going to find a lot of good data. Everybody's going to get extended analysis. Do not hesitate. Find a code. There's like 20 different codes out there that you can use. So the Cultivar Cup, it's $200, but if you put in your code, it's $100. Okay, that's really great. Some of the members, they get free testing. The members have prices as low as $25 for a test. So there's no reason not to do batch testing. Just sign up, become a member, get involved. And we'd love to see what you got. Jump on the Discord and you can start sharing. It's very secure. I'm a technician. I'm a security person also. I'm pretty good with computers. I like to keep the whole community secure. There has been a bunch of changes lately. We no longer have a .com shop, so there's no more conflict of interest between us and our sponsors for that. If you want to get in on any Magic Myco genetics, you have to be a member of the Patreon and wait for one of the projects to come in the mail. So definitely you want to be a member. You want to check out all the different sponsors and check out all their genetics, especially Gordo Tech. If you're looking to grow some exotics, I definitely recommend Gordo Tech. Hit him up. I know he lost his Patreon recently, and he made a new website at gordotech.org, and he could use the support. So definitely check out him. And I think everyone in the contest will get a Miraculous test kit and maybe like a spore syringe. But the top winners are going to get all kinds of cultivation supplies, testing supplies, the top three in every category. And you asked about the categories. Again, because I might have labeled it wrong in some places, it's no longer cubensis, exotics, and extracts. It is now, the categories is now psilocybes, paniolus, and extracts, which could be a combination of any of the other two categories. And we did that because we found they kind of test the same, like psilocybin cubensis and psilocybe tantonesis and psilocybe cyanensis. Even psilocybe azurescens, we found them to all be around the same psilocybe species. So we put them in its own category. Same with paniolus. Your paniolus cyanensis, your paniolus bisporus, we found that they kind of test all around the same. So we made them their own category. It makes it more fair for everybody. Some people do send in psilocybe nataliensis before it was in the exotic category, and it had no chance. Now it's in the psilocybe category competing against the cubensis, and it's much more neck and neck. So we think we made the right decision there. And we're also going to do that yeast analysis. So make sure your drying process after you harvest is a process that will allow it to not have so much surface contamination, because we are going to test for that, and it is a qualifier. So if you fail the yeast and mold analysis, because this time we're doing multiple plates and averaging them together, and even if you have a high score, you will not win the top prize. So that throws in another little kink there, like another little hurdle that you got to like kind of get around. It makes it more competitive, not just about the highest is the best. It's not what this is about. This is about all of them are the best, and we're just researching them all. And everybody's going to get a prize. So definitely get involved.
I love it. Gentlemen, this podcast is off the charts, man. I'm so stoked to get to be here in this community, talking to you guys, to everybody within the sound of my voice. Go down. Let me run through the sponsors again, though. Twist and Tree Nursery, allthingsgrow.net, Miraculix Lab, Turp and Twist, Mind Tissue, Dr. Shroom, New Jersey. Of course, you got to go over to magicmyco.org, cultivarcup.com, browntreasure.com, fullcanopygenetics.com, Trip Team Family, Myco Willie, Hamilton Mushrooms.com, Vital Bloom, Tinctures.com, TannisGardens.com, Morning Star. I'm sorry, Clinton.
Morning
Just
Star.
go over to Clinton. Yes, it came up wrong on my feed right there. Gordo Tech, Captain Trips. You know what? There's so many great people. And before I wrap it up, though, man, I just wanted to kick it off you to let me start with Clinton. Clinton, where can people find you, man? Or what do you got coming up? And if people want to reach out to you, man, what's the best way to do that?
You can go over to morningstarmyco.com, and my email is clinton@morningstarmyco.com. And we're just pushing forward right now on still doing working with the legislation here in the state of Nevada. And hopefully here in October, we're going to be launching psychedelic fitness, and it'll be adopted by the state of Nevada and hopefully a few other states around, so we can start pushing the agenda forward, and then we'll have revenue to start investing or donating to other psychedelic mental health causes. So
I love it.
look for us in October. We'll be hitting back-to-back trade shows. So I'll be in Las Vegas for PsyCon, then MCon, which is a military trade show, and then I believe I'm supposed to be speaking at the Sphere for Global Group. So if that goes through.
Nice, man. Exciting times coming up. Everybody check out Clinton out there. Reach out to hit all the links will be in the show notes too for everybody down there. Doma, what about you, man? Give us another rundown, man. We got Cultivar Cup coming up, and what else you want to tell people before we land the plane?
Yeah, man. I mean, all eyes on Nevada. Things
Yeah.
that Clint is doing over there is pretty amazing. This legislation, the things he's doing for the veterans, holy crap.
Yep.
Definitely keep an eye on Nevada. Check out all our other sponsors. You can email me anytime, Doma@magicmyco.org. cultivarcup.com, magicmyco.org. I'm also on Signal. We have Signal chat. If you want to hit me up there, you could grab the phone number off magicmyco.org. And yeah, that's about it. Magicmyco.live is where we publish all of our research data. So I know it's a bunch of websites, but definitely worth checking them all out, as well as all the sponsors and the individual things that they have. A lot of these sponsors are also running their own sales. So besides the 50% off code for the entries for the cup, which is great, $100 each, they have their own codes for various amounts, 10, 15, 20%. For their products on their websites that's running till the contest is over. So you'll want to get it between now and by the time the contest is over, and you could save on all their fantastic products as well. That's pretty much it from here, but I look forward to doing all this stuff and talking again. We'll have a Zoom on June 21st.
That's it. All right. Well, hang on briefly afterwards, gentlemen. To everybody within the sound of my voice, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Cultivar Cup, Cultivar Cup, Cultivar Cup 25. Go check it out, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Be safe, everybody.
Hey, thank you.